From my smartphone to yours, I'm capturing live in the Series Joy Studios in Costa Mesa, California. And this is your terrific Tuesday Namaste Today. Good morning and Namaste, and welcome to Namaste Today. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Christopher Witecki. My modality is psychic astrology, and my personal mission is to unite the light in my heart and help other people unite theirs. This webisode is for Tuesday, March 22nd, 2016, and today the great human mark has marched up to step 2, Aries. Hello friends, such a pleasure to be of soul service. I do want to do a shout out to all my viewers out there. I am well aware that many of you are light walkers like myself. You have businesses, you have practices, you make products, you write books. So I'd like to invite you to tell me about what you're doing, maybe send me what you're doing, and I will show it on the air. So I have a new page on my website at soulgarden.tv where you can send us a little form. We have our mailing address, and you can send me things. Sometimes clients want to send me little gifts. That's fine. I love it. I will do a shout out for you too. And really, we have a staff now that will help kind of work you through it. So I would like to unite the light. That means I would like to know about what you're doing, and I would like to use my network to tell everyone else about it. I think we need to start communicating and unite our light. All right, let's move on to today's vibe. Today's vibe I predict to be partly cloudy and moody. Temper tantrums may erupt today, and we may see the beginnings of the lunar eclipse breakdowns. That's because emotions are a slippery slope, and they lead to everything. So once the water dam breaks, usually the whole breakdown happens. So we do have a chance of breakdown and breakthrough. The vibe I predict to be partly cloudy and very moody. All right, we are very moody. I think this is due to the combination of all the energies. My heart is seeking to feel grounded. I'm feeling impatient today. I'm feeling disrupted today. I am very passionate, very lit up, very pretty much like a baby. This is the Aries temper tantrum, wah kind of energy. And so I think everyone at stoplights, honking at each other, things like that, everyone's going to be a bit that way. I'm feeling self-critical and nitpicky. I'm feeling myself expand to new beyonds. That's because the moon is crossing over Jupiter, and it's because we are also emotional to begin with. This is also countdown to the lunar eclipse, and so our feelings are nitpicky and critical. I'm open today to a new spiritual path. I'm open to a door opening. I'm opening to a new bridge. Just give me anything that'll get me out of this damn feeling. It's because Venus is at step 3. Now, what I'm thinking about is what I love. No, Venus is at step 12, excuse me. It adds to a 3. What I'm thinking about is what I love. I'm thinking about what my heart wants. Mercury has crossed the line now into Aries at step 1, and that means our mind is catching up to our heart after a long retrograde earlier this late winter. And my ego, which is what Aries is all about, is pushing ahead with original ideas, pushing ahead with my core concepts, pushing ahead with what I know to be true, but I can't really see beyond this corner. Mars is at step 5 of Sagittarius. And finally, I am deciding, which is Saturn, what I believe to be true. It must be easygoing, and I must love it. Saturn is at step 16, and Saturn will retrograde this week, so these are the last few drops of this current transit. So, little warning there on my camera. So your joy quest, should you choose to accept it today, is to simply observe your feelings. Observe your feelings, observe your ego's reaction to them, but don't react if you can. It won't serve you. Sometimes you can't help but find yourself in motion reacting to things. But try to observe your feelings and observe your ego. This is definitely one of those days where you might be shouting out in the car and calling everyone a mother effer and things like that. And it's all right as long as you're observing it and going, wow, I'm really angry. Wow, this has really upset me. Wow, this is it. It's that layer of observation that will actually keep it from going too far. And try to discover on your own where life is already unfair. Try to identify where you're out of balance. Try to preemptively figure out where the ego might slip in the next 36 hours. All right, so now I am going to move on to today's topic, and I want to put out there just a little brief thing here about this. A lot of people have asked me about the 11 Steps to Serious Joy. They've asked me how they work and, when's my book coming out and things like that. So considering it is spring, I've decided that for the next 13 or 14 days, I'm going to systematically teach what I know about the 11 Steps to Serious Joy, at least a brief portion of it. Of course, can't do the whole book. And I'm going to do this so I can archive it on the internet, and I'm going to put it in little chunks so people can find it later who find me later. And these are essential. Now, the reason why I'm doing this now is because God Universe is about to break your ego down. This is like going to boot camp. This is like, being rebuilt. And so what I'm going to do as you get broken down is give you the 11 steps to build you back up. And I will go into today the introduction of the 11 steps of serious joy and how they work. And beginning tomorrow, I will cover one step per day for 13 days. Okay? And we'll talk about why it's 13 when it's 11 steps. But without further ado, let's move on to the introduction to the 11 steps to serious joy. Hello, friend, and welcome to my little mini web series titled The 11 Steps to Serious Joy. I'm going to take a few steps here to describe my life's work. I have come up with a lot of discoveries in studying metaphysics, astrology, sacred geometry, and numerology. And the 11 Steps to Serious Joy really is my accumulated effort to guide a person into enlightenment based on the knowledge and wisdom we can get from your astrology, your numerology, and how it builds into a sacred geometry, which is more advanced. And I want to put out there the basics and create this little web series on video so people can go back and learn these fundamentals. But I'm also writing a book, and my personal Sensei service employs all of this knowledge as well. So I have other products and services that are out there doing this. Now, this whole idea came from doing the horoscopes every day. Let the YouTube record show, I was doing 12 horoscopes a day, 5 days a week for 5 years. And so I researched the stars. I consider that time my internship of understanding what I've come up with, and I was observing each day that there seemed to be a correlation between the number of the degree of the planet and the vibration, that the degree itself was adding on this extra layer of effect, and we weren't calculating for it, or at least we didn't know too much about it. So I could see each day that each day the degree changed, there was a characteristic. I began to spot the degrees that stood out. Degree step 4 always stood out. People always broke down on that day. Every day broke down. That was one of the first big clues, because I would see breakdown around 4s. Then I realized there was breakdowns around 13s, which meant that they added to a 4, and I saw that. And then I saw subtle breakthroughs at step 22. So month after month, all 12 signs, I'm seeing this. And one of the advantages of me being a new media astrologer is that I have immediate feedback. So I would do horoscopes, people would comment, yes, it happened, they would explain, they'd tell their stories. Oh, I go back to the drawing board, I'd fine-tune some of my algorithms, and eventually I started to, through the feedback of, so many people giving me yays or nays or whys, and all of the readings I was doing, just reading after reading after reading after reading, I began to crystallize all this. Now, Linda Goodman gets credit for breaking the code. In one of her books, she says that each planet has a number, and she lists the planets and the numbers. So at that point, when I came across that, I lit up. I started looking beyond 4. What was 4, she said? Uranus. Oh my God, Uranus is causing the breakdowns at 4. Oh my God, yes, Uranus, of course. So it just was a hallelujah moment. Now, at the same time, I began to open up to the idea that I was psychic, and I started asking my guides questions about astrology. I also had this phenomenal angelic situation where the angels told me a whole bunch of information to help me expand my lightwork knowledge. So I was starting to grow at a compound level, but one day I was sitting on the couch, and literally I felt like I had to consciously throw up. not throw up with vomit, but like something in my consciousness had to be released. It was just like I didn't know how to describe it. Now, I did have a person and friend in the room who witnessed all this, and basically I just felt like I have to go to the table and write something down. And I wrote out this algorithm. I wrote out this algorithm. And this algorithm is astro-numerological algorithm. It came from my guides, and it was the algorithm of serious joy. And my spirit guides were like, this is the formula to serious joy. And from there, they began to teach me just little intuitively. I get little moments of inspiration when I would be doing horoscopes, doing readings. Whenever I would be engaged in what I did, my guides would add more information of how it all works. And I was so just enthralled of learning about it. But I needed to see, does this work or not? So I started practicing this technique on my readings. I started practicing technique in my horoscopes. People told me that I was incredibly accurate, incredibly precise, and I realized that this idea of step astrology was a whole new frontier of conscious thought in this thing. What I came to realize is that astrology, numerology, and sacred geometry are not independent disciplines, but rather functions that must be plugged in together to see the whole picture. So astrology without numerology or sacred geometry is very naked, blank, and does not answer many questions. When we put these pieces together, we get a three-dimensional view of the person. And this is what I noticed. And I noticed that numbers are the Rosetta Stones. So God Creator used numbers and human beings' ideas of numbers. What do I mean by that? Well, the number 1, number 2, like if you had an animal and you gave them 2 pieces of something, the animal will know that it had 2 pieces, right? If you had an alien land and you said, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, the alien would be like, okay, I get what you're talking about. We're talking about numbers. Numbers are 100% universal to everything in consciousness. And what I discovered was God universe uses the numbers, our ideas of numbers. Every human being has a concept of 0 in their head already. Every human being has a concept of what 1 is, what 2 is, what 3 is. And from this numerology, these idea of numbers, I understood that God consciousness then stems off all of the manifestations possible from those 11 basic steps, 11 basic numbers, 11 numbers and 1 anti-number, 0. All right. So I started to put all this together, and I realized that if with all the planets and all the numbers, that during the course of the year, the sun going around, it didn't go around in numerological order. In other words, Aries is step 9. Taurus is step 10, but then Cancer is step 2. Gemini is step 5, Cancer is step 2, so it's not in sequence. So I thought to myself, oh, what if you put it in the sequence of numbers themselves? What happens? And I realized at that point, holy crap, this is the architecture of incarnation. In other words, if I asked God, like, what's the sequence that we should look at our 12 states of awareness to make reality happen? What's the sequence? And I realized it's simple. My guides laughed at me. They're like, it's simple. The sequence is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I was like, oh my God, it can't be that simple, but it is. And that is where I started to study deeper and realize that whenever anything manifests on Earth, it always goes through this conscious sequence of step 0, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's because human beings have the railroad tracks in their consciousness of numbers. Everyone has an idea of 0 through 9 and 2, a 10 and 1. So this is the concept in your head. And in this concept, consciousness comes down these kind of pipelines, and we understand who we are and what we're about. So literally, human beings start always with 0, and then their consciousness immediately will flip to 1. And once 1 is achieved, you will flip to 2. And once 2 is achieved, you will flip to 3. And this is all like the unfolding or the splitting of a cell. As conscious becomes aware, it's suddenly aware of something it's not aware of. And the 11 steps of serious joy are basically the sequence in which you will be aware. Now, in my personal study and work, when I do personal readings, I can see clearly which of the steps that your soul likes to skip. I can see the steps you're good at. I can see the steps you are bad at. And my software, my AIT, artificial intuition, same thing. We built that and wrote that code to where it knows what steps you are at everything. And so my work is to identify where you have strong steps, identify where you don't have strong steps, and guide you through these steps. The cool thing about consciousness is you just have to consciously go down these steps. You just have to consciously be awake and do these steps each day. And if you're consciously aware of it, they unfold naturally and you become hyper aware. And once you become hyper aware, you're on the path to serious joy. So my theory is all manifestation follows this conscious course through the 11 steps to serious joy. And if you're going to create anything that's well thought out, let's just say, if you want to make sure that you've covered every point there is in consciousness when you're creating something, the 11 steps will indeed guarantee it. It's a great way to benchmark and have as a little spiritual mirror precisely where you are. And in my work as an astrologer, anyone who's gotten a reading from me will say incredibly precise, and it comes down from this extra level of consciousness. So it's my gift to the world, and I give it freely for people to run, grow, and expand. And today this is the introduction, but beginning tomorrow, I will discuss each of the 11 steps, and it begins actually with step 0, the hidden step, and that is of course Pluto. Pluto, the planet of death. 0, right? Very interesting. All right, my friends, let's move on now to our next segment. And welcome to the Zen Den. I'm now surrounding myself in a brilliant royal blue light and inviting you in. And in this light, I'm feeling golden love between you and I and allowing you to replenish. And you're always allowed to step in this golden light and replenish your heart. Let's take 3 breaths. Okay, and I got a very distinct message today, which is cool. Let's first start with an affirmation. Today, I feel my truths today, but I am patient to act. I feel my truth today, but I am patient to act. And that's simple as it is. Allow the truths to come in, but allow yourself to be patient before you take action or react to it, especially in this next 24 hours, because the lunar eclipse is early tomorrow morning. So it's likely the events that lead to your shift in consciousness may happen tonight. So be conscious of it, feel your truths, but be patient to act. Okay, and so going into meditation there for three breaths, I'll just say right now, do you want to guess what planet came up from my guides? The planet was Jupiter. And we'll talk about that here in a minute, and I think I know why. But first, let's go to the sun. The sun is at, we need a color, don't we? The sun is at step 2 Aries. Step 2 is I feel. And so what we are feeling is our ego. So if you're angry today or upset or anything, you're probably feeling what I call the dumbass speaking up. And in my personal Sensei service, we start with it as the dumbass, but we work to build that dumbass into a knight for our king or queen. But it's a dumbass right now, and we're going through the dumbass stuff today. So today we are feeling it. And that begs the question, well, if we're feeling it, where is the emotion coming from? And the emotion probably coming from right here, our moon sign, right? We are feeling everything. The moon is in Virgo, and the moon is also still in the field and influence of Jupiter. And that's the planet that Creator brought up, was Jupiter. In essence, Jupiter is at step 16, basically helping us create a reality that we can live with, that we can receive, and one that suits our 7, our spiritual purpose. What I got when I was in my 3 breaths just now was that that we get too held on to the way we think reality will be, and we forget just how flexible God and the universe really is. Our ego also gets too held up. So you must believe that there's a new reality out there. You must believe and feel that there is, and use that to give you the strength to let go of things that don't work, to step away from battles that don't serve you. You must believe that reality is mutable. And if you can't believe, then Go back in your own life and see how much it has changed since you were born. Do you really believe you would be stuck on that forever or anything and ever? And at each stage you believe it, right? So it's a powerful idea there, and that's what Spirit is saying. It's really your feelings about whether or not things can change are more important than what actually changes. Staying liquid there. Now, fears, Black Lilith. Black Lilith is at step 23, which adds to a 5, which means we are fearing the big picture of a certain relationship. Okay, I would say the largest evidence of Black Lilith right now is Donald Trump. He is pushing the Black Lilith fears right now. We are fearing that we would get married, Libra, to a president that would, go off the edge. And I think people fear Hillary Clinton too. She's not exactly an honest Scorpio at step 3 herself. So I think either way, the United States, if those is looking at big picture relationships. Now, in your private life, you might be also facing fears in your big picture relationships. And mind you, this is where the moon is headed in the eclipse in the next 24 hours. So we are having to face fears. If you don't face them, they'll manifest in front of you anyways. So face them and be conscientious that a fear is simply what we don't want to have happen. And when we affirm what we don't want, it won't. All right? All right, Mars. Mars is the master of Aries, and Mars is putting pressure on step 5, which is our intellect. So people are hyper intellectual right now. People are having trouble sleeping. People might be having trouble with their nervous system or nervous disorders. That's Mars at step 5. It's just adding our mind to go, go, go. Just make sure that you're going after what your heart believes in. That's why it's in Sagittarius. Go after what your heart believes. Ignore what you don't. Okay, when you have Mars there, you just want to go forward. Don't ignore and get caught up in wars. Then lastly, I'll bring out Venus. Venus is at step 12, which adds to a 3. And that basically is the bridge. We are open to something new. We are open to something new. Something new is 3. We have to love it. That's the 1. We have to feel it. But if we do, we'll do it. Step 3. So sometimes you don't know the belief. Sometimes you don't know where you're going. That's the 3. Sometimes all you know is you love it and you can feel it. But I'll tell you this, don't go down that bridge if you don't love it and feel it, okay? And if you believe something, make sure you love and feel it. That's the architecture of incarnation there. Anything else, Spirit? Not today. Not today. We'll, of course, be talking about the lunar eclipse in the next 24 hours and the ramifications of those lunar eclipses. But we will hold off on that, any more of that talk, until tomorrow. So good luck, my friends. Now, for the eye candy of the day, I just want to help all my subscribers with what they can expect here in this lunar eclipse. And I'm going to reveal your karmic fault line. What I mean by a karmic fault line is the moon's on one side and the sun's on the other, and you're caught in the middle. That's your fault line. I'm going to give you a little description of what those consciousnesses are and give you some tips on how to kind of rise above it, given what I think I see. Don't forget, people can join my personal Sensei service anytime by going to seriousjoy.me. And I will put out there, I now do birthday calls, which is totally fun. I've had a few of them now. It's a perfect way to touch base with me, and it's an amazing gift and an amazing surprise to people when they don't know about it. So for more on that, you can visit soulgarden.tv. All right, friends, go to sleep. Make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's and be careful. Don't try anything stupid in the next 24 hours because we are having an eclipse. And do remember that I love you and live, love, be.